Good afternoon and welcome to the Kent Public Works meeting for the 21st of March. With me I have Councilmember Marley Larimer, Councilmember Seth Winder-Core, Director Chad Barron, and Cheryl V. Seth is very ably keeping us in line with the minutes. So, good afternoon. Are there any changes to the minutes or to the agenda?
No changes.
In that case, we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to approve the minutes dated March 7th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for March 7th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and we are on to the business of the meeting. So we're going to start with King County WaterWorks grant agreement for Lake Fenwick, the Alum Treatment authorization. Rowena? Rowena Valencia-Gica?
Yes, thank you so much.
Going to give us some information.
Good afternoon, everyone, again. This afternoon, I'll be talking about this Lake Fenwick Alum Treatment, King County WaterWorks grants. But before that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Rowena Valencia-Gica, Environmental Supervisor at the Public Works City of Kent. And this project is actually a follow-up to the Lake Fenwick Aerator Improvements Project that had been presented in the past, and recently the city has received a grant from King County WaterWorks. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about that grant and the project as well. And many of the information I will share you probably already heard in previous presentations, so it's good to refresh memories anyway, so bear with me please. Just for context, second slide please. Lake Fenwick is in the southwest corner of Kent in West Hill. Half of it is within the Kent jurisdiction and half in King County jurisdiction. And year after year, harmful algal blooms, as shown in this photo there on the upper right, harmful algal blooms are occurring in the lake, making activities such as fishing hazardous for our residents. And algal blooms are mostly caused by nutrient pollution, primarily excess phosphorus coming mostly from stormwater from surrounding areas, especially where residents apply too much fertilizers on their lawns or gardens, or they do not maintain properly their septic systems, or, walking their animals and not picking up the poop from the ground. So as a result, pea pollution or phosphorus pollution has put our lake on state list of impaired and threatened waters, so that improving water quality has become very important. And as we know, when there's lots of nutrients in the water, harmful algal blooms proliferate, resulting in reduced oxygen present in the water. Can you go back one slide, please? Sorry. One of the solutions we implemented is to install an aerator. If you look at the lower left, which is obviously to increase the amount of oxygen in the lake water. And an associated structure is an in-water raft on the lower right. The original structure was built in 1994. It is so old so that currently we are doing some retrofit on the system. But to ensure greater success in improving lake conditions, this aerator project must be combined with alum treatment. Next slide, please. Alum treatment is generally safe. It is non-toxic, so it doesn't harm anything. And alum, in fact, is a common additive that we are using to make pickles crisp, and it's also an ingredient of over-the-counter drugs for like antacids or And you may be asking, how does it work? Well, it's actually a very simple chemistry, as shown in this slide. It just binds the phosphorus, which serves as the food for the toxic algal blooms. And shown here is a simplified equation of what happens. When we apply aluminum salt to the water, it creates aluminum hydroxide, which we call flocculants, or floc for short. And then this flocculant or floc will bind the phosphorus. This aluminum phosphate, which results from the binding of phosphorus and aluminum hydroxide, now settles immediately to the bottom of the lake and forms a sediment cap, so that it continuously binds the phosphorus that's in the water. And reportedly, it clears the water by decreasing phosphorus and algae in the water by about 70%. I would say a significant amount. So what applicators do is that the aluminum salts is applied using a boat, as what you can see there, and it moves around the lake like a lawnmower, going in strips until the entire lake is covered. The flock then quickly settles to the bottom of the lake, forming around 2 to 3 centimeters of a sediment cap. The city did this already in Lake Fenwick way back in 2011, but the dose was so low that it was not very effective. And many lakes nationwide have actually been doing this treatment. Examples are Lake Wahop on the upper in Pierce County and Black Lake in Peterson County. So we plan to do it after the aerator retrofit project is finished with target application in October 2022. One full dose has been found effective to reduce phosphorus up to 15 years. And currently, we have a contract with Tetra Tech to prepare alum treatment application, and they will prepare plan and design, including sediment coring, so that we can estimate the existing amount of phosphorus present and the alum that's needed. They will also provide cost estimate, provide bid evaluation, permit application assistance, and construction support and monitoring. Last slide, please. So recently, we applied for King County's WaterWorks grants, for which we had been approved for $150,000. We stated that this $150,000 will be used to pay Tetra Tech contract and part of the alum application, with the remaining amount to come from the existing aerator WaterWorks grants we received previously. So the city will not be in the hook for any balance to do the alum treatment. With that, we'd like to request acceptance of this grant money so that we can keep the alum project moving forward. Again, thank you everybody for your support. Any questions at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I don't know if you have the answer, or maybe Chad does. You said that the sediments kind of goes to the bottom, or the phosphorus goes to the bottom of the lake. What happens there? It just stays there, or?
Yes. Once the flocculants bind the phosphorus, they settle at the bottom, forming a 2 to 3 centimeter sediment cap, and they stay there almost forever. And they keep attracting phosphorus, binding phosphorus, whatever is coming in. And the buildup is actually not very noticeable because 2 to 3 centimeters, it's almost nothing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Questions for me? Sounds good.
That's the same question I had. I had asked Chad that question and found out that even though it's going to be at the bottom with that slowing, because it's basically it's getting less food to be able to grow more algae, so less phosphorus, so that's going to help slow the rate. But no, it's not going to go away, and we'll still be on that dastardly list, but we are making improvements.
Yes, that's correct. And the good thing there is the phosphorus is not free for consumption by the algae, and that's how we prevent more toxic algal blooms production when we trap those phosphorus in that sediment cap.
And just to note that, pointing out that one of the things you said was the neighbors up above, as they're fertilizing their yards. So that's one of the reasons that it's important to know and to try to find the more natural ways to be able to, like with aeration and different methods, to be able to take care of our lawns. Because again, just about everything we do ends up affecting our water quality, our water source. So,
yeah, totally agree with you on that. Yeah.
Well, with that, we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the King County WaterWorks grant agreement in the amount of $150,000 for Lake Fenwick Alum Treatment, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the King County WaterWorks grant in the amount of $150,000 for the alum treatment up at Lake Fenwick. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. That will be passed on to the council. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And next, we have Erik Peterson on the proposed revision of residential traffic calming programs.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Erik Preston here to talk to you about
Preston.
the changing voting thresholds for the residential traffic calming program for your consideration. So, even though we're proposing a slight change, we've had quite a bit of success with the program since it was updated in June of 2020. In the last 22 months, we've received over 58 new requests for traffic calming, and this number is already outdated. Last week we got 2 more, and then over the weekend they gathered support. So all of these numbers are wrong probably, but gives you a sense of the program. So 17 of those have gathered support from 5 or more neighbors, and the city completed a traffic study. 7 of those met the initial 50-point threshold to qualify, and then 5 of them have been confirmed by confirmation studies and are moving forward in the process, which means that next we'll hold a neighborhood meeting and with those residents develop a concept for the neighborhood and then mail out ballots for a vote. So we're also currently working with communications to translate our materials into 5 different languages. So why propose a change? Well, currently the required 50% return rate and 2/3 approval rate is leading to some non-participation. We've been getting phone calls, emails throughout the process of people telling us that they're going to choose not to vote instead of voting no, to hopefully put the proposal down below that return rate threshold. And it appears that there might be some success, as you can see in the table that I'll get to here in a second. We also saw ballots with high approval percentages narrowly missing that return rate threshold. So looking at 5 recent ballots, and first I'll look at the return rate, if I can highlight that for you there in this column. 2 out of the 5 that are in green there met that 50% required return rate, and the 2 that are in yellow were really close at 46%. And you can see those ones at 46% had very high percent approval, 78% and 88%. And so, and the 5th one, so maybe I'll go back to the approval rate. Then we also had one that was 55.9% approval rate. So all of these, had majority approval, but not all of them had great return rates. And so those percentages in yellow would meet the proposed thresholds for what I'm proposing changes today. We want to make it easier to qualify when you see such high approval rates. And so in order to accomplish that, staff is proposing reducing the return rate from 50% to 33%. So instead of 2 out of 5 of those proposals passing, you would get 4 out of 5 meeting that return rate threshold if adopted, allowing those high approval ballots to pass. We also propose reducing the approval rate from 66% to 55%. And so instead of 4 out of 5 meeting the threshold, now all 5 would meet that approval rate if passed. So instead of a simple 50% majority, we wanted something that was still greater than 50%. So you could say over half. So that's our proposal for your consideration. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? Comments?
I just wanted to expand a little bit more. So some folks are actually trying to game the current system by not returning them.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and they'll talk to their neighbors and say, "Hey, let's get together and not vote."
Okay.
They're afraid that they will be, yeah.
Instead of voting no. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
My only concern was that return rate too low, but we could go with it and see what happens.
That's true. You can always change it in the future if you'd like.
So I'm okay with it. I can work with this one, and we are ready for a motion.
Okay. Chair, I move to adopt a resolution repealing resolution number 2012 and appending the neighborhood process of the residential traffic calming program to revise voting thresholds.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? In that case, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously and will be taken right on to the council. Thank you very much. And it was Preston, not Peterson. And then we are now ready for Cheryl, who is going to tell us about the Clark Springs. Cheryl Rolcik-Wilcox.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Rolcik-Wilcox. I'm the city's Public Works Department's Property and Acquisition Analyst. And I'm here to talk about, a property acquisition out at the Clark Springs area. The city's been working to purchase property from Clarence and Heidi McElderry, which is located right next door to the Clark Springs water source in Ravensdale. The city contacted the McElderrys back in 2021 to see if they were interested in selling to the city, but they weren't ready to move yet. The McElderrys then reached out to me in February of this year to see if the city was still interested in acquiring the property from them. The property is made up of 2 parcels with a combined total of 97,575 square feet with a single-family residence and frontage along Rock Creek. The city will be acquiring the property for the fair market value of $985,000, which was established by our appraiser and confirmed by the city's review appraiser. The property will be used for the protection and preservation of the Rock Creek watershed. As part of the city's Clark Springs Water Supply System Habitat Conservation Plan, the city has committed substantial resources towards the protection, enhancement, and restoration of the Rock Creek watershed, which supplies water to the Clark Springs water supply system. The goal of this project is to create, enhance, and conserve valuable fish habitat in Rock Creek while continuing to supply water to the city's customers. Acquisition of the McElderry property would allow the city to set aside a portion of the property for the purpose of improving water quality and in protecting salmon populations within Rock Creek just upstream of the city's main water source. And the funding source for this acquisition is the Clark Springs Habitat Conservation Measure Project with funds that are already budgeted for this purpose. Are there any questions? Oh, here, I can show you real quick where it is. So you could see the 2 parcels there. The Clark Springs area is to the left of the parcels. And then that's what it looks like overhead.
Comments? No. I'm glad to see these purchases for, I know it's been quite a while that we've been trying to collect the different pieces of property, as you said, to protect our water supply. We know that way people are not having wildlife near our, cattle or whatever near our water source. They're not storing toxic chemicals. We know that it's going to be well taken care of and kept in pristine condition. So if there are no other comments, we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign all documents necessary for the purchase of property located at 26010 and 26007 Southeast 269th Street in Ravensdale, APN 252206-9104 and 2522-6-9068 from Clarence and Heidi McElderry in an amount not to exceed $985,000, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign all necessary paperwork to purchase the property at 26010 and 26007 Southeast 269th Street in Ravensdale. And with that, all in favor?
Aye.
It has passed unanimously, and that will go on to council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anything else for the good of the order?
No other items.
In that case, we are done for the evening. Have a great week. Meeting is adjourned.